How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody trying to stay warm?
Amen.
My name is Jacob Jenkins. I represent the Men of Distinction organization at Siena Heights University, and I'll be a master of ceremony tonight. Tonight we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King and what he has done and how he has impacted a whole nation into believing in his dream. Tonight we will also give out 3 service awards as well as 3 academic awards for the students from Siena Heights, Adrian College, and Jackson College. At this time, to kick off this ceremony, I would like to introduce Dr. Daniel J. Phelan. He is the president of Jackson College.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be with you. This is the celebration, the moment where we recognize the legacy and the messages of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You know, tonight could really be summed up by the words faith, hope, and love. As Dr. King well knew, there was a power much higher than himself, one that called him to action, one to service, one without which he could do nothing. The same is true with us. The notion of hope being a belief in something greater than yourself, a possibility, a new future, a new dream that was possible. Hope and love. A love so strong, a commitment so great in your fellow human being that you would sacrifice the most precious gift of all, your own life, in this cause. Faith, hope, and love is the message of tonight. You know, one of Dr. King's messages that resonates most with me is when he talked about life's most urgent and persistent question. What are we doing for others? What are we doing for others? Tonight at Jackson College, or this afternoon rather, we had a forum about Martin Luther King. And I remarked a quote from my grandmother, and she had shared with me, she said, Danny, there was a little kid then. She said, Danny, you know, the only thing that is necessary for bad things to happen in this world, for evil to persist, is for thoughtful men and women to do nothing. For thoughtful men and women to do nothing. This is the challenge that Dr. King has given us. What are we doing to serve others? And this is a message that we must carry forward, not just today, where we recognize this moment we come together in memory and remembrance. But this is a message that we carry in our hearts every day, but it must be an activist message, one that we actually put our hands to, using faith, hope, and love in the service of our fellow human beings. I congratulate all the award winners tonight, and also want to thank the committee for putting this great program together. I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. Thank you.
And at this time, we will have a music selection from Madeline Bauman. She is a middle school student at Springbrook Middle School. Give it up for Ms. Bauman, everybody.
I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill that I have never known. Oh yeah, yeah, you smile. Oh, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven. For you are mine at last.
Everybody get up against the staff and body. Who ready to eat? And next we'll have Dr. Christopher Mauman. He is the chaplain here at Adrian College, and he'll be blessing the food for us.
Let us pray. Almighty God, you created us in your own image. Grant us grace fearlessly to contend against evil and to make no peace with oppression. And that we may reverently use our freedom, help us to employ it in the maintenance of justice. For this meal and all who have labored to prepare the bounty before us, we give you thanks. Amen.
You ready to resume the program? At this time, I would like to introduce the Mayor of Adrian, Mr. Chuck Jacobson, for words of expression.
Good evening. I have a proclamation from the City of Adrian. Whereas the third Monday of January is a day set aside to honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, and whereas this day is celebrated to reflect on the principles of racial equality, nonviolent social change as espoused by Dr. King, and whereas Dr. King inspired others and exposed injustices to the American public through his moral strength, and whereas Dr. King once said, "If it takes my life to make America listen and act to free all of its people, there's a price I will gladly pay." Today we pay tribute to the greatness of his sacrifice. Now therefore I, Chuck Jacobson, Mayor of the City of Adrian, do hereby proclaim January 21st, 2019 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the City of Adrian, and urge the citizens of Adrian to join us in remembrance of one of America's great leaders who through peaceful means helped to improve the quality of life for all of us. Thank you.
Alright, now time for a little entertainment. I would like to introduce the Awesome Troupe, directed by Miss Michelle Anello Jones.
Visions that can change the world, trapped inside an ordinary girl. She looks just like me, too afraid to dream out loud. And though you stand for your idea, it won't make sense to everybody. You need courage now if you're gonna persevere. You gotta answer when you're called, so don't be afraid to face the world against all odds. Keep the dream alive, don't let it die. If something deep inside keeps inspiring you to try, don't stop and never give. Don't ever give on you. Don't give up. Every victory comes in time. Work today to change tomorrow. It gets easier. Who's to say that you can't fly? Every step take you to get closer to your destination. You can feel it now. Don't you know you're almost there? Oh, and then I answer when you're called. So don't be afraid to face the world against all odds. Keep the dream alive, don't let it die.
Now is the time for the student award winner recipients. Siena Heights will start out first. Adrian College and then Jackson College will follow behind. To present the student award. Ooh, I'm sorry. Let me catch my breath for a minute. That was a lot.
You got it, brother. You got it.
To present the student award to Ms. Charmaine Willis will be the Dean for Students at Siena Heights, Mr. Michael Orlando.
Thank you, Jacob. It's okay, I get choked up too when I think about Charmaine. Well, good evening, everyone. It's my sincere honor tonight to lead us in recognizing the 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. recipient from Siena Heights University, Ms. Charmaine Wells. Charmaine, would you join me on stage, please? Charmaine is such a bright light at Siena Heights. She has been involved throughout her entire college experience in so many different ways. To name only a few, she is a fearless leader on our varsity women's basketball team, a McNair Scholar bringing attention to minorities in business and accounting fields, and a past president for the Sisterhood of Saints, a group that I might mention was recently named the Student Organization of the Year. Yeah. Many of our faculty, staff, and administrators know Charmaine very well for living our mission to be competent, purposeful, and ethical, as she teaches and learns and consistently respects the dignity of all. Her basketball coach, Sue Solderbeck, says this about her. You ready? She's here, so I'll be good. Charmaine has been a leader since the first day she stepped on campus for our team. She has a drive about her that exudes her determination to be successful. She has led our teams over the past 4 years to great success. What most impresses me about Charmaine is that she stands strong and leads through tough times as well. And you know, Charmaine, standing strong and leading in tough times is certainly something Martin Luther King Jr. knew all too well. And I love that, also like him, that you're willing to walk with humility and purpose. Charmaine, you not only make Siena Heights University better, but the purpose you are living out will surely continue to make our world better. As you look back at your last 4 years at Siena Heights and prepare to graduate, may you reach forward with the same grit and tenacity you have shown us. Would you all please stand and join me in congratulating our 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Student Service recipient, Ms. Charmaine Wells.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all trying to stay warm. Martin Luther King Jr. was a visionary with huge drive and enormous ambitions. Dr. King began to carry out these ambitions in a peaceful manner before his unfortunate and untimely death. I am also a visionary. I have a vision of peace, love, unity, and positivity. Similar to Dr. King, I have a huge drive and enormous ambitions. Every day I wake up, I take it as a fresh opportunity to thank God and praise Him to try and help change the world bit by bit. In my generation, there's a consistent wave of negativity trying to consume my peers and I through different outlets such as social media, television, and internet. In my opinion, we need to honor Dr. King by loving one another. I was raised knowing that I can respectfully challenge the information that I did not understand or agree with, as long as I was respectful and have researched the information on why I didn't support or recognize the point of discussion, by doing everything from a place of love. A quote from Dr. King that I closely relate to is, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. In my life, I attempt to positively change and challenge negative energy and mindsets each day. If I can respectfully and positively change at least one mindset a day and redirect our energy towards a path of positivity, I feel one step closer to helping make our world a more positive place. Tonight, I challenge everyone here now to take a moment right now and every day to think about what kind of mindset you have. Ask yourself, what kind of people am I surrounding myself with? How can I provoke change? Then reflect on your confidence and the power you have to change the world. I thank God for this opportunity. I thank Him for leading me on the journey that He created specifically for me. I would like to thank my family and friends for their endless love and support. I would also like to thank my mentors and professors for helping guide me on this journey the past 4 years at St. Margaret's University. And I'd also like to thank the MLK Award Committee and staff for thinking so highly of me to present me with this award and all for their time and efforts. Thank you, and have a blessed and fabulous night.
Hello and welcome. My name is Anton Horton and I am an alumni of Adrian College. It is an honor and a pleasure to introduce my brother from another mother, Charles Guy. TJ, what you doing? You up there? Give him a round of applause. Today we are gathered here to celebrate a man with pride, courage, and faith. Like Dr. Martin Luther King, Charles Guy is a man with all those qualities. His hard work and dedication at the Boys and Girls Club of Lenawee County shows how one person can make a change. CJ is a guy that puts the community before himself. He cherishes his relationships with children because he knows that children are the future of our world. Charles is a hard worker. He works at Enterprise Car Rental. If anyone needs a car rental, this is the guy. No, seriously, this is the guy. The Boys and Girls Club, while also being involved in Brothers in Action and many other organizations. I know that CJ will do many great things in this world because he makes it happen. Through all of the trials and tribulations, he's still standing and going harder than ever. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you all Charles Guy.
Thank you, man, Tom. Like you said, that's my brother from the back. Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to acknowledge my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because He's the head of my life. And without Him, nothing would be possible. Second, I would like to thank my parents for raising me to be the young man that I am today. Without them, I don't think I would be here right now. I know I wouldn't be here. I would like to thank the MLK Committee and Adrian College for thinking I am so deserving of an award such as this. When I think of Martin Luther King Jr., I think about how important the foundation was that he set for the generations to come. I think about my grandparents and my cousins who marched with Dr. King and fought for our civil rights. I think about how far we made it and how far we still have to go. I think about the hardship, the perseverance, the pain, and the agony that He gone through just for us to be equal. Though we've been fighting for a long time, I believe that we still need to fight. there's still work to be done. I believe there's a crack in the foundation right now, and it's on us to fill that crack with the same core values Martin Luther King stood on: equality, integrity, respect, commitment, citizenship, loyalty, humility, faith, leadership, peace, and most of all, love. In the words of Martin Luther King, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in the time of challenge and controversy. It is now time to forget about ourselves and start to love on others. Let's remember the foundation and never forget his dream. Thank you, and God bless.
Good evening. I'm Kim Dusso with the JCLISD Academy, and it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Isabel Valdez. Isabel is a student at the JCLISD Academy who is also attending classes at Jackson College and Siena Heights University. You can read Isabel's you can read about Isabel in the program here, and I can go on and on about what a great student she is. Academically, she's a 4.0 student. She's a member of the Phi Theta a member of Phi Theta Kappa. She will graduate with 2 associate's degrees a few weeks before she graduates with her high school diploma. She's a great leader at the Academy. I can go on and on about the organizations that she's involved in, their success in their inaugural competition at Quiz Bowl this year. I can talk about her community service, which has so greatly impacted our community. But most of all, I want to talk about Isabel's character. Isabel is such a kind and quiet leader, and I think that's what we need in this world today. Isabel is, community is so important to her, and she is always the first one to reach out to her fellow students, to get them involved. She takes the hand of our new students when they come in and welcomes them. When she sees, maybe a student behaving in a negative manner, she quietly addresses that in a way that it should be addressed. So she's so important to our community at the Academy, and we're just so grateful to have her there. I do want to talk a little bit about, like I say, her character and the importance of community as well. So, Isabel, congratulations to you, and we're just so grateful to have you at the Academy.
Acknowledging me, and especially for Mary Ann Pinch, who unfortunately couldn't make it. I really appreciate all that she does for me and supporting me and helping me along through the college process. So I wanted to talk about where I'm at right now. So as y'all have heard, I'm still a high school student. And I'm working as hard as I can to get my associate's degree, which I will get this semester. I have worked so hard to get here. High school was not my place to be. I didn't feel challenged. I wasn't getting much help there. And I joined the academy, and it changed my life, and now I just want to do better. I want to be the better version of myself. I don't want to be what people expect me to be. I want to be what I expect of myself. There's so many people out there who are like, you can't do that. And I'm like, yes, I can. And I couldn't be the way I am without my family, without my friends, without my supporters. And I really appreciate that because they mean a lot to me. And I unfortunately lost my father 2 years ago. And with that loss, it didn't crush me to the point where I couldn't keep going. It kind of crushed me in a way that I had to keep going. You know, keep trying, keep striving to do better. Don't let anything. And my favorite thing to do is volunteer. I've been volunteering since I was little. It's been something I really like to do because when you're volunteering, everybody's getting together. And no matter what you look like, how you act, who you are, you can be anything you want. But as long as you're all volunteering together, you're one. And that's the most important thing about volunteering. You're getting together to make a better world for other people out there. And that's how people should live. They should live like they're volunteering. Live together to make a better world for everybody. So that we can live Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of being together and being in peace and living like we are volunteering because we love volunteering. So go and live like volunteering so that we can find out what it's going to be like. To be as one, no difference, no matter what skin color you are, no matter where you come from, just be happy with you, be happy with others, so that you can be just like me, work with yourselves, and be a better version of yourselves. Thank you.
Everybody give it up again for those students. It's always good to be recognized for your hard work inside and outside of the classroom. Because for myself being a college student, for all the college students in the room tonight, we know it ain't easy. Your paper due at 11:59. You want to start till 9:30. You already got it. At this time, we will be presenting the Lenawee County Community Award. Tonight, our presenter will be the Director of Diversity and Inclusions at Siena Heights University, as well as the MLK Committee VP, Mrs. Sharice Mathis.
Y'all give it up for Jacob. He was one of my students in my class. He doesn't wait till 9:59 to start his paper that's due at midnight. So, all right. So I'm here to introduce our award winners, our community award winners for this evening. So may I please have Mr. Reggie Moore and Miss Michelle Anello Jones join us at the podium. This year, their recipients were kind of hard to choose, so that's why we have two this year. So we will have them give some brief remarks and learn more about how they can contribute to the community. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michelle Anello Jones, and I've lived in Adrian, Michigan, practically my whole life. And I started a group 30 years ago this year, for my kids. I started when my daughter was 4, my son was 5, and now they're 34 and 35. So I started it for them to have a positive team so that I could keep an eye on them around the house, because as you know, we didn't have a lot of diversity here in Adrian, so we wanted to start a positive group. And I had no idea that it would last this long, because after I did it for them, somebody else would want to join, somebody else would want to join, and every year it just kept going, and every year. So I just started that group, and because when I was a kid, we went to summer camps. We didn't have programs that we could go in. So I was inspired by my Reverend Stewart when I was 9 and 10 years old. Because we've always had, my mother always sent us someplace positive to go during the summer, so I said, you know, I want to keep that going, and that's what I did. So to today, it's still going on. And I just like to thank Almighty God for watching over me and giving me the dream, like Martin Luther King, to have a diversity group. No, like the young lady said, it doesn't matter what color you are. Black, white, green, purple. It's for everybody. And that's why I started the Awesome Troop, which stands for African American Women and All American Women and Warriors who expect success, opportunity to motivate toward higher education, and we should have total respect of other people. So, you know, and like they say, you have a lot of naysayers that say that won't work. Yes, it will. Just because God didn't put the dream in you, the dream was in me. So I, like Martin Luther King, I kept my vision, and it has manifested into what it is today. But I'd like to give thanks to a lot of people. Mary Hennigan, Dora Vasquez, Amanda Vasquez, my husband, Emmett Jones Jr., Ken Hennigan, and Pastor Hennigan. And once again, Reverend Stewart, who has helped me to say that you can do and become anything that you want to do. So that's what I hope to do, is inspire others, uplift them, and like the message is here, what can we do to help others? It's just me. If we could get other people to join and help us, what would this world be? What would this group look like if we had others that would join in and give back to the community? Thank you.
I'm going to pull my phone out, but I'm not making a call. I just got my speech on here. You know, modern day, you don't have to use the paper. You can use your phone, so I'm going to put that up there. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord again. I got that off of Bishop Bernard, so I had to give recognition to our mentors as well, you know what I mean? So, I also like to thank the Martin Luther King Committee for nominating me, especially on a night when Martin Luther King and the late Lawrence Richardson is honored as well. Maybe one day this city will resurrect a statue in the name of him for all the good deeds he's done for this city. I also like to say is thankful and grateful and honored to be on the stage with Mission Lady. She is one of the families that I met when I first came to Adrian, and lo and behold, I ain't gonna say how many years, but years later, we stand on the same stage accepting a community award in the community that we've grown up in. Now I said that, I was told I only get 3 short minutes, so I can't even say my name in 3 minutes, so I'm gonna try to do the best I can do. But I want to use a few short stories and say some thank yous, and put my message out like that. First of all, I'd like to thank my mama and daddy, who is not here with us anymore, for taking 5 kids in the perils and opportunity of Detroit and raising us as individuals to believe that I am somebody. In doing that, I learned a childhood skill set called basketball. And I was able to perfect that to enough that it was able to promote me into going to college and getting a college degree from my alma mater, University of Siena Heights. I also took that to diversify, to go into the corporate world, to make my living and be successful in the auto industry, and using that same type of skill set, but just diversifying it to some other means. I also like to thank my daughter Jazzy, who is not here, for also helping me use that diversity. Because unlike me, who had a very strong passion for basketball, she wanted nothing to do with it. But as a parent, it was up to me to find out what her desires were and help her to nourish her skill sets so that she can have that same ambition and go on into her adult life. I'd like to thank my daughter Kaylee and son DJ for also having that same passion that I had with the sport of basketball. And not only that, believing in me that I could teach them the game. So what we did is we formed, they perfected the game, their friends saw how good they were getting, and then we formed a team, and then we started playing. And I'm going to bring in the community because I want to thank them as well. But I also want to tell a bit about that, because what we did is we took kids that thought that they couldn't compete, and we taught them how to compete. We learned, using the same skill set that I came up on, we learned how to compete. And as Martin Luther King said, he who gets behind in the race must forever remain behind or run faster than the man in front. And that was our mission. So what we did is we taught them how to go out and play, and I bring back the community because we went and started playing in community tournaments, and as long as we were losing, it was all right. But then once we started winning, all of a sudden it was all these criteria where they were told that we were not allowed entry into the tournament. Now, the kids as a whole, they were kind of upset about that and felt that they might have been discriminated, but we didn't look at it like that. We looked at that as an opportunity to say, we are improving and we need to take our show to a bigger stage. And that's what we did. That's how we started going all over Michigan, into Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, wherever our travels would take us. And we moved so fast that when you look at that race, we didn't even realize how fast we were going. But that same community that denied us saw how good we were doing, and guess what? They joined us to make us the better program that we became. So now I say from those kids, we've had a lot that have won state championships, national championships, various local tournaments, NCAA certified championships. These kids have also used their diversification by going to college, playing all levels of basketball or sports, gaining their college degrees, associates, bachelor's, even master's degrees. They've all, young professionals of all walks of life. Even some of them are doctors now. But I say that because that's just to name a few without naming all of them. But they use that childhood skill set for the passion of basketball to go into their life dreams and what have you, and their endeavors that they're doing now. And with that, I go into my last thanks. And I'd like to thank my wife, Chris Moore, if you stand up. I only got 3 minutes. You guys stand up. I talked to you all about a skill set that I had that worked for me. And I was confident that it would work for me, but what I didn't know is that it would work for a community. But she did. And she knew I had a passion for it, and she knew that I liked teaching it and what have you. And she was the motivation and the spearhead behind us forming the Michigan Magic Elite and reaching out to the community and getting them involved with it as well and becoming the program that we became. Even now when you see kids and they'll tell you that some of their best days growing up was being involved with MME. So one of the things I'd like to do is tell all the young parents and young kids that are growing up is to find out what your skill set is and pursue it. It don't have to be your first choice. It don't have to be your second choice. It don't even have to be your third choice. But find out what you are good at and pursue it. Have the admirations to be the best that you can be. And as Martin Luther King said, if it follows your lot to be a street sweeper, then go on out and sweep streets like Michelangelo carved marble. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music and like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived the great street sweeper who did his job well. Thank you. Give another hand clap for those who serve the community well. At this time, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Leonardo Lasagna, who will introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Stephen Elam.
Our keynote speaker for tonight is Mr. Steve Elam. I first met Steve Elam when he was a junior at Mackenzie High School in Detroit and got to know him better when he came here to Adrian College as a student. Steve, along with other selected members of Mackenzie High School, who some of them are here back in the back of the room, were participants in the Aspires program, which was a pre-college college program helping graduates of Mackenzie High School matriculate to Adrian College and graduate. This pre-college college program, created by Mr. Tony Shipley, was a partnership of support and love with the neighborhood surrounding Mackenzie High School. And it involved Drew Middle School, Scott Memorial United Methodist Church and Scott Memorial Community Center, and Mackenzie High School. Some of those really important members of my family in that work are here today, including Carmelita Moore, Ruby Washington, Dr. Stanley Kane, and Monique Savage. From the beginning, Steve was a really respectful young man who always had a bright smile on his face. Usually, whenever you saw Steve, you would see his two boys, Jamar Page and Jermaine Ford, close by. As an undergraduate, Steve was an influential leader, not always up front, but he had influence on his peers in a way that I knew they listened to him and sought counsel from him. While at Adrian College, the Aspire students and the other students of color were nurtured to see themselves as scholars with individual and collective wisdom. So it is no surprise to me and others involved in the program of Steve's contributions and achievements in his personal and professional life. Steve's professional career has been filled with many contributions to K-12 education in Detroit and several other states across the country. Steve started his career as a substitute teacher at a middle school in southwest Detroit, and then a full-time teacher at a charter school on Detroit's east side. As a reading recovery teacher at a school district in St. Louis, Missouri, he helped to provide literacy instruction support to students and use skills he gained to increase the students' scholastic reading inventory. For this work and this role, Steve was recognized as an educational leader, being honored as the Teacher of the Year. He then served as an in-school supervision coordinator at a St. Louis, Missouri charter school. He created and developed a ninth grade African American male dropout prevention program that helped to lower the suspension recidivism rate and increase attendance among the ninth grade male students. He then moved on to be the Dean of Students with the Washington, D.C. Public School District, where he helped support the first blended learning model in the Washington, D.C. schools. Steve then returned home to be the first school director of the Detroit Collegiate Prep at Northwestern High School, and during his first year in that position, he brought in dual enrollment with Wayne County Community College and helped orchestrate the Northwestern Alumni Association, gaining access into the building and bringing back 100 years of the school's prominent history. He then served as the principal of Southeastern High School and helped to reestablish community partnerships and academic excellence to increase enrollment and student success. Stephen then served as the academic engagement interventionist at Pershing High School and collaborated with the Farmwell Recreation Center to write a grant, the $1 million project offered through Sprint. This grant would supply a laptop, computer, and home internet service for each student at Pershing High School. Pershing won that grant in 2017 and has been a game changer for the school and its students. Throughout all of these contributions to secondary education, Steve also continued his development as a scholar and practitioner as he completed a teaching certification degree from Saginaw Valley State University, a Master's of Secondary Education Administration from Missouri Baptist University, a second Master's of Education degree in Public School Building Leadership from the Teachers College at Columbia University, and then becoming a Certified Restorative Practices Trainer with the International Institute of Restorative Practices. Currently, Steve is the founder and CEO at Elam Heights Educational Consultants. His firm focuses on leadership coaching, data analysis, cultural competency training, restorative practices training, and strategic planning. He is also the co-host of The Courageous Hour, a weekly radio show with Keith Williams on 1340 AM every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Steve and his wife Carmen are full-fledged caring members of the Hartford Memorial Baptist Church. And I'd ask you to please join with me in welcoming back Mr. Steve Elam to his alma mater and as our 2019 Lenawee County Martin Luther King Jr. Dinner Keynote Speaker.
So I was teasing Leonardo because I said, man, you read the whole thing. I want to say thank you to a few folks, definitely my family, and I have a strong support group with the Aspires program. And Miss Bernard, she did not let me know until yesterday that she is a Jungle leader. I became the principal at Southeastern High School in 2015 as I really got really excited because that was also my other, I have two moms, my mom and then my stepmom. She became my stepmom when I was 4. So literally I've been blessed to have two moms. And I was so proud to become the principal at her school. And what's weird about it is once you become a principal, how many educators do I have in here? Okay, so we got some educators in here. So you do understand, and I know you understand, that being an educator means that you take on other people's children. and that you're putting that seed and planting that seed for them to be the best that they can be. And what I didn't know at the time, doing all this work all around the country, my wife says, hey, it's time for us to move home and do the work back in Detroit. And when I got back to Detroit, it was a great feeling to become the principal over at Southeastern High School because it was my mom's alma mater. And they're called Jungle And when you go over there, if you ever have an opportunity to visit 3030 Fairview, you will totally understand. So I rolled up my sleeves and I got back to work. But as Leonardo was reading the information about my experience here at Adrian, it made me very proud that I wrote down on a piece of paper many moons ago that if I ever got the opportunity to come back to Adrian, I wanted to invite some key people. So through technology and Facebook, I instantly jumped online, and I would love for Ms. Moore, could you stand? Ms. Washington, can you stand? Leonardo, can you stand? President Kane, can you stand? So these individuals are the team that brought me and 35 other individuals down here to Adrian College during our junior year. In junior year, if you can imagine, west side of Detroit, this is like Mayberry. And I want to say thank you, because what you did was allow a canopy to be opened up of what our horizons could be. And staying in that same fashion of what Martin Luther King has done, what are you doing for others? This is an exemplary example of what can be done when people get together as a collective group. So I'm going to use a little bit of technology in this process. Let's clap it up again. So we are here to remember Dr. King and his work, and we heard a lot of great quotes. One of the ones that sticks out to me is that he had a dream that one day as a nation we will all rise up, live out the true meaning of the creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. And the individuals that stood up, they believed that. Now, Ms. Moore was the middle school counselor at the school across the street where I was a high school student. So let me explain to you how I got to McKenzie. So McKenzie High School was not where I started off at. I was actually accepted to Cass Tech. How many of you have heard of Cass Tech? It's a nationally renowned high school. Yes. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Steve. Steve got kicked out. And I ended up at McKenzie with culture shock there, because I went from a school that had literally over 5,000 students to a school that had 1,500, a school that went from 8 floors to a school that went to 3. Cass Tech sits in downtown Detroit, so you can imagine there's everything, the hustle and bustle of the city going on, to now I was at a corner of West Chicago and Wyoming. And there was nothing going on. Except for what we all want is a great church. So the church across the street from McKenzie High School was Scott Memorial Methodist Church. And in collaboration with the principal, we had a great principal named Joe Gilbert, and kind of puts you in the mindset of the Far East Side. I mean, you've seen Lean on Me, Crazy Joe. We had one in Detroit. And he believed that it was possible that these group of students can get together and make it happen. And what he ended up doing is working with Ms. Moore, who was over at the middle school. There were not high school people involved. Ms. Washington, who was the social worker at the middle school and was involved in the church. And they got together with this guy right here, which one thing I want everybody to know is, what does it mean to be of service? Being of service means a person, a group, or a community, or a cause that you want to serve, meaning that you choose to stay engaged without any expectation of receiving anything back. And this is what they did, because I'm telling you, we were high school students. And at the time, my dad, he's an electrician, master electrician. I thought that was the route I was going to go. And I knew I was making great money as just being an apprentice. And he even told me, no, I'll go to school because I think you can do more with your brain than you can with your hands. So maybe I wasn't that good of an electrician. So this gentleman that I'm going to show you next over here on the screen, this is Dr. Shipley. And Dr. Shipley was the pastor of the church at that time. So it became obvious that Dr. Shipley had a dream also. And in that dream, he pulled together a team of people that could believe in his dream. So you're all sitting here tonight. I'm sure you have dreams. You work on different committees. You're involved in different organizations. And somebody in your committee or in your group or even at your table right now has a dream. But it's only going to take a team that's going to pull this off. And then that is how we got to Leonardo and President King. Because somehow, some way, this guy right here, Tony Shipley, coerced them into believing that this was all going to be possible. So, literally in 1990, we had a group of 35 students, 10th grade year. We come visit Adrian College. We get on the bus. Only thing they told us was, hey, we got an opportunity. We're doing a financial aid workshop, which is key word for you need to figure out a way to get the money to go to school. And they brought us here to Adrian. And for me, not knowing the potential that was going to be laid out in front of me once I got here, I told my wife that. I said, I didn't fill out any applications. I knew I was going to Adrian by the second time I came to visit. And that was just coming to the homecoming game, getting to stay in the dorm, and having a good time, you know, at the cafeteria. So I was hooked. So Dr. Shipley's dream was the Aspires program, which stood for Adrian College McKenzie High School, Scott Community Center. Program to aspire readiness for educational success. And all of us know as educators in here, when you get that student, whether they're 9th grade, 6th grade, elementary school, there's such a fresh seed that all you have to do is water it a little bit, speak positive to it, and give them some structure. You got to give them some structure. And they can do anything that they want to do. And I really want to thank Leonardo and President King for believing not in just me, and believing in the ladies at the table, that's my support group. See, these are Psycho 2 and Psycho 1 students, because literally, that's clap it up for them. Thank you to me. So, we ended up coming down as a cohort of students, and that was the first time I was even introduced to that word cohort. Because then that put us in the mindset of what it means to be academically sound. This is how you're going to travel. This is how you're going to function. And one of the things that Ms. Moore consistently did, and my mom, they stayed involved. Anything could happen, and Leonardo would get on the phone, and literally, you know, it's an hour, 15-minute drive. I might look up, and during the middle of lunch, here comes my mother and Ms. Moore walking through the door. So if you can imagine that the reach did not stop at high school, it continued on through college. And I was embarrassed at first. Like, man, my mom shows up at everything. What's going on? And now that didn't stop me from doing wrong. Please understand. It didn't stop me. It just made me aware that I have people that care. So when I got the invitation from Ms. Bernard, I immediately reached out on Facebook, which is the nonchalant way and technically the lazy way to keep in contact with people that you love. You know, you don't even tell them happy birthday anymore. You type it in. So I jumped online, and at first I shared it on Ms. Moore's page, and then my sisters, they all jumped in and said, we coming to see, we want to see. Because they know, once I got back to Detroit, I always included them. Because I know I would not be here if it were not for those young ladies who were here down in Adrian with me. Some of the brothers who couldn't make it today, a lot of them are working. They're like, man, go down and represent for us. Because the one thing I always remember at McKenzie High School did not turn out a lot of scholars. But we were that first group who were bragging we were going to school for free. We bragged about it. Now, let me tell you, my GPA, I should not have been at Adrian College. Far from it. And now that, as I become a school leader and deal with educational, I keep my transcript very close, and I keep it on my desk. Because young men, especially, do not believe it is possible. So as a principal, I would always sit down and I tell them, I say, everything you're thinking about doing, I did it, and I got caught at it. So trust me, I know your wheels are spinning. So what I want to show everybody was, this is what service looks like. This is, if you can see it, this is literally our high school graduation, college graduation. We had 5 cycles come down from Detroit, Michigan, what ended up being close to about 300 students, matriculated, like Leonardo said, through Adrian College. Whether they got their degrees from here, they maybe went on to U of M. We also have individuals, a lot of folks have master's degrees, doctoral, we have physicians. And all of this came from, one, Dr. Shipley having a dream, but then the people that you saw stand, they were part of the dream and saw it collectively, which is important, and that's why we're here today. Because one of the best things that Dr. Martin Luther King said, what are you doing in service of others? You can't get out of this world without being of service of others. So this is what service looks like. So along this pathway, I'm blessed to say that I too had a dream. And this was mine. One, be obedient son. Now I know I gave my mother, my stepmom, and my dad, I gave them drama every chance I could. But I always wanted to be obedient. I knew one day I was going to be a great husband. I always wanted to be a community leader. And once I found my niche, which was in education, I wanted to be an educational leader. And every time everybody says, well, what do you want to be? I think I've had every job underneath the sun. And it wasn't until I found the love of reading while I was helping a group of young black boys in St. Louis get their reading proficiency scores up. I figured out that's what I want to do. So I jumped in school, got my master's. And what it brought about was, let me show you the next picture. So this is me. I still got an afro. Okay, not bad, 4 years old. I actually took a group of young men, those young men in those ties, those were St. Louis, that was my 9th grade male dropout preventer program. And what we did was we were reading to elementary school kids. And I learned that the more you read, the better that they'll get. And they were very proud of the fact that they can go read to their brothers and sisters at the elementary school. I've also had an opportunity to cross that Edmund Pettus Bridge, just as Martin Luther King did. And I took that very personally because I never knew at that time, that was young people that went across that bridge with him. So as I listened to what the young people from Siena Heights and Adrian College and also the high school student got up to say, it is going to be on the shoulders of young people that we're going to continue to push forward. So along that way, these are my former students. Let me tell you, Dr. Shipley had another dream. He got so discouraged with public school education, he started a charter school. And that was my first real job. It was being a teacher at his charter school. And he hired Adrian College graduates, employed us all. And now what you see these are my first students. When I first started teaching, I was like 26. I remember this because I was geeked. Like, I got a job 5 days a week, got the summers off, Christmas. This is the best thing since sliced bread. So now that I'm older, once I became a principal, I run into these kids all the time. My wife says I can't go anywhere without somebody saying, that's Mr. Elam. Hey, how you doing? I'm excited to see him. And what I want you to see is this is the new state superintendent. That's Miss Ailes, Superintendent Ailes. I work with a company called Algebra Nation, and I think right now I have the best job. I do consulting work, and literally I go around and give out prizes for students mastering algebra, the subject that I failed. And let me tell you, failure stands for first attempt in learning. It is okay to fail. Matter of fact, you need to fail once or twice to know that you're going to get through it. Nobody made it here on the first go around and got up and hit a home run. That doesn't happen that way. We all fail. So these are my young students. This is me delivering, standing in front of 500 principals up at Traverse City Lodge and really enjoying myself because I did step away as a principal because I learned the longer you deal with students, the more entwined you get, you love the passion. But what was going on was the adults above me were totally disconnected. Totally disconnected. They forgot what it meant to sometimes go home and don't have a table to do your homework at. They forgot what it meant sometimes to go home and the power was not on. Some of them actually maybe forgot what it meant to go home and you didn't have a home. And that made it difficult when you're trying to bring up and plant seeds in young adults that they forget about those things. So me as a consultant, like I said, I travel the state and I get to bring prizes. I tell my wife, because I'm like, this is bad. I'm living good, stress-free. Don't have to worry about it, especially the people who are educators know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're an administrator, I never have to get that 5 a.m. phone call that the teacher's not coming to work. That my wife could not believe me. For an entire school year one time, I set my clock to it, 5:30. I at least get 2 to 3 phone calls of the adults not coming to work. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Only thing I have to set my clock to is now, which school am I going to give away an iPad? And see the kid's face when they get the iPad and say, I helped out other students across the state of Michigan. I earned this. So that's some of the things that I do. My last impact that I want to show you guys, well, one of the last things. See, that's my niece up in the top end corner. This summer, we literally took her to South Carolina. She's a freshman at Benedict College. It's a HBCU, and it was rough getting her there, but we got her there. South Carolina's a very long road trip, trust me. And while I'm there, I wore my purple shirt. Their Benedict's colors are purple and gold. So, and I guess I have the right attitude there, Donald, because a lot of parents were coming up to me thinking I worked there. I said, no, I'm here dropping off my loved one as such. So I'm in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm sitting in a room about this big. They're doing their classes. I hear a young lady say, Mr. Elam. So I'm like, nah, nobody knows me here. There's no possible way. So the young lady that you see, that is Dawn. Dawn runs up to me, gives me a gigantic hug. I look at her and I say, oh, okay, where do I know you from? Because I spent so much time in Detroit at a high school. I thought she was from Detroit High School. She said, no, I don't believe you don't remember me. Dawn was one of my students when I was a dean student in Washington, D.C., and we did home visits. Dawn was extreme poverty. They had burlap sack for the front door, 12 people living in the house. And we told Dawn then, while she was a 6th grader, you're going to be somebody. Do not let this stop you. So needless to say, I was there for 3 years. I saw Dawn go off to high school, and I moved to Detroit. I had thought nothing of it. She said, Mr. Elam, I made it. I'm here. Full ride scholarship. So, as I leave with this, the one thing I want you to see is, it is what Dr. Martin Luther King said. The most important question is, what are you doing in service of others? And I challenge all of it. I went to the tea last night, learned some information at the Croswell Tea House, and learned that Mr. Croswell was the governor of Michigan, but he was from Adrian. And in that space, I listened to the people who are here receiving awards, the young people. It is important that you start to give back right now. So somebody at your table is in service. They need a mentor, or they need to be a mentee. Because adults, trust me, we need mentors too. Do not think because you have some grade or you have some experience that you cannot benefit learning from a young person. It goes both ways. Because we are all in this thing together. And as I look out, I have a video, and I'm seeking I get it to work from here, just to show you the powerful impact of having a dream literally 25 years ago, and I have not stopped believing in that dream because I wanted to be an impact for my community. So the one thing, as I leave this, I'm seeking this video get up. Let's see, is it gonna work? So this was the question. One, what are you doing in your family? That's where it starts. Help your family. Somebody has a cousin. Somebody has a loved one. Start there. What are you doing in your schools? Trust me, all the people that raise their hand, somebody in this room right now needs to be in the cafeteria helping out, especially at the high school, especially at the middle school, especially when it's time to read. They need you to be there. You have some extra time on your hands. Don't think you're going to get away from it. Those are those other people's kids. No, they're your kids. They live in your community. And then what are you going to do with your community? Like, for the Lord just said, teach a different skill set. Get them outside of their norms. Go show them something different. And I'm so glad that President Kane and Dean Arnold took on the task along with Ms. Washington and Ms. Moore to, one, show us all something different. And those young ladies that came to visit from Detroit, they rode, we came deep. They already know. We partied hard here. Like, we cleared out the dorm rooms, and we had our own Detroit-style parties, and before we know it, the Adrian folk were filing in. I see my good buddy Gene. I met Gene literally my first day here, and we've been friends ever since. So your impact that you're doing right now, by one, announcing and acknowledging the young people, you all have a task. Older folks, it don't stop just because you're older. We need you. Go visit, go volunteer, come back, participate, grab your granddaughters and your grandsons, bring them along, because they're going to be what they see. If they see you participating now, guess what they're going to do when they get older? The high school student said it best. If we lived like we are all volunteering, the world would be a better place. Thank you.
actually had the chance to chat with Mr. Steve Elam for the program, because I too am a product of the West Side of Detroit. And he was telling me, he was like, that transition coming from Detroit to Adrian, he said something else. I said, yeah, I'm almost out there. He said, keep pushing. Now at this time, we will be presenting the Lifetime Community Achievement Award of Lenawee County to Mr. Lawrence Richardson Jr. Presenters of that will be Mrs. Andrea Bernard, who is the MLK Committee President, Mr. Vince Emmerich, who is the Chief of Police in the city, and Mr. Jack Welch, who is the Lenawee County Sheriff.
Good evening, everyone. The time is moving on, and we're going to try to expedite the time. But I want our speaker, if he would come back up here a minute. We would just like to present him with a certificate of appreciation for this 31st community celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream, then and now, looking back and reaching forward. He has done a phenomenal job in showing us some of the things that are possible even today. We'd like to say thank Let's give him another hand. At this time, I'd like the sheriff to come, and I'd like him to talk a little bit about our Lifetime Community Service Award winner. This is personal for me, and I am so happy to have our county sheriff to be here to talk a little bit about Larry Richardson.
Mr. Elam and Reggie, this is my technology. So I want to say a few words about Larry. I went back a long ways with him. I guess I'm probably the only police officer that's actually working in the county that worked with Larry. I started in 1973. He started as a police officer in Adrian, the first African American police officer. In 1969, I graduated from high school. There is one gentleman sitting over here, he's Lenawee County Commissioner Terry Collins, who probably could tell you more stories than I can about Larry. But I worked with him for a long time on the streets. I started on the streets in about 75, and Larry was working the streets until he got promoted to detective in 1983. He was a lot of fun to work with. Sister Andrea said, tell a joke about him. Yes. So I'll get to that. I'll get to that shortly. He went on after being a detective, and he ran for sheriff in 2001, which is quite an accomplishment. He was the first African American sheriff in Lenawee County. So I think that was quite a feat. So when he got elected as sheriff, which is, I've worked with him over the years on the streets, but more importantly, I worked with him for 6 years. He was my boss. So he ran for sheriff. And so the joke that I'll tell you is he was from the city. So, and he's now the sheriff for the county. So one night, not too long after he got elected, we had a major crime out in the middle of nowhere in the county. So Larry headed out there. They dispatched him out there, but he got lost. And the dispatchers tried to tell him how to get there, and he never made it. he did make it back to the department. So the joke of that was, we just didn't want him to go out of the city after dark. So anyway, that's a funny story. I know there was a serious incident that happened that I happened to be with him that morning, and I'm sure Terry Connell was there too. It was the morning that Adrian police officer Bobby Williams got shot and killed after robbing a store of Cleveland, Tecumseh. And I was with Larry, and I think Terry might have been there when we caught one of the offenders on Baldwin Highway. And Larry and Bobby were very close. We were all pretty close. I was Bobby's neighbor. But on a serious note, that was a tough morning, and I know that was a tough morning for Larry, probably the toughest one he ever had. One thing that his legacy, I guess, is he loved kids. He did a lot for the kids in this county as a juvenile officer. When he was a sheriff, he did a lot for kids. And he also had a pretty special relationship with inmates in the jail, which is a big part of the sheriff's job. Sheriff's job is a little different than being a police officer on the streets. We have a lot of different activities that we do, and one is the jail with the inmates, and I know he had a great relationship with them. So I don't want to drag this out very long, but I just wanted, I do have a lot of history with Larry. We worked together for 6 years. I was his captain. I ran the jail for him for 2 years, the new jail when it opened up. So I have worked with him for a long time, and I think this award that he's getting, a Lifetime Achievements Award, he achieved a lot. And I've been to a lot of functions with Larry, and I heard him tell a story about picking cotton, coming to Adrian, visiting Adrian, a relative, I believe it was, and he met a police officer, and they asked him to, why don't you be a cop? And that said, I think 30 days later, he was a police officer. So he did achieve a lot of things. So this award is very fitting for him, and I'm proud to be here to talk about it.
Oh, give him another hand. He's not a talker, but he did pretty good, didn't he? At this time, we'd like the chief of police to come, and he has a few words to say.
Sheriff, good evening, everyone. My name is Vince Emmerich, and I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Adrian. It's an honor to be here tonight and to be part of this award for Larry Richardson. He's a man that I admired and one that I try to emulate in my daily life. Larry hired into Adrian in 1969. He worked until 1999, where he retired as a detective. I had the pleasure of working with Larry for a very short time, and the benefit of knowing him during his time as sheriff. Larry cared deeply for his community and for his colleagues. I like to think of him as my first field training officer, and I thank him for teaching me the most valuable lesson in policing. I started as an intern in '99, so my first year would have been the year that Larry would retire. One of my first experiences was being assigned to Detective Richardson. I was overjoyed to be spending time with a detective. As an inexperienced young man, I envisioned any number of scenarios based on what I'd seen on TV. I expected Larry and I to break up a bank robbery or defuse a hostage situation, but it didn't play out that way. We started our shift by driving to an elementary school well outside of the city limits. Larry told me that he needed to speak with a child from a family that he knew. The child was acting out and the parents were concerned, so they reached out to Larry. He gave me the basic information but kept the details quiet to protect the family and their privacy. We got there, he spoke with the child and the teachers, and then the parents. I remember the parents' demeanor going from very tense and concerned to grateful for Larry being there, and then eventually being relieved when it turned out to be nothing. I watched the entire event from start to finish, but I had no idea, no concept of the importance of that event. It was not action-packed or glamorous, and as a student, it was also not what I expected to see. Reflecting now as an administrator, I know just how many moving parts there had to have been to get that peace of mind for those parents. Obviously, the parents knew Larry and wanted him specifically. Larry would have to go outside of his jurisdiction, so he would need permission from his chief, and the same from the chief of that jurisdiction. He would have to know the teachers and principals to get into the school. He would need the patience and time to speak to the child, to get to the bottom of whatever was happening. But before any of that, Larry had to care. He had to want to help those people to jump through all those hoops. He had to care about that child's well-being and the safety of those across those unseen city-county boundaries. It would take me years to realize the importance of that experience and to see things come full circle. So now fast forward a few years to a time when I'm the detective and Larry is the sheriff. I was investigating a felonious assault where a gun had been fired from a vehicle. I had found the vehicle in question and was getting ready to impound it. It was parked in the driveway of a residence, so first I went up to the door. There I made contact with the mother and the siblings of the alleged assailant, and I tried to explain to them why I was there and why I'd be towing that vehicle. I did not know the family, and I was doing my best to explain what was happening, but I was falling short. I was initially met with hostility, and the children from the home came out and they stood between the vehicle and the tow truck so that I couldn't take it with me. I was at an impasse, and I was about to call for assistance when an unmarked vehicle pulled up to the driveway. Sheriff Richardson got out in uniform and was immediately greeted by the family. I don't know if he was listening to the radio or if they called him, but he just magically appeared. He spoke with the mother and the family, and they all went inside the house. Larry's presence not only diffused the situation, but acknowledging that he knew me gave instant credibility to everything that I was doing. You know, I had learned about developing rapport and de-escalation and everything they teach you in the police academy, but all Larry had to do was get out of his car, and he had established all of that. So Mr. Guy used it first, but as Dr. King said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. To be a police officer is to care for your community and to do that work in those moments of challenge and controversy. Larry Richardson was devout, just, and respectful, and you knew where he stood regardless of the situation, and it was a comfort to those around him. I try to be a lifelong student, and I often reflect on what I learned by watching Larry. If I could put it to words, I think it would be that if you treat people with respect and show them that you care, it will never be forgotten. Thank you, Larry, for teaching me this. I will always try to use this lesson and to teach it to future generations so they can know and follow your example. Thank you.
Couldn't have been said any more wonderful. Just like to say that his wife was unable to come tonight. She wasn't feeling good. But her son, his son, is here. And also his cousin who was totally committed to him. And I'd like them to come at this time to receive his award. And while they're coming up here, I just want to say that the inscription on this plaque, or this award, was written by Dion Hennigan. Dion, where are you? Where is she? Stand up, Dion. She's also a lifetime committed person to this community. She's a transplant like a lot of us transplanted into this community. But she did right. I want you all to come on up here. And she was willing to put it in script for us. She also presented it at his funeral this past June, And Deanna, I just want to say thank you to you for such a great job. Let's give it up. I'd like my vice president if she would come up here as well. This is the first time we're giving this award. Larry Richardson was the first one to receive the Martin Luther King Community Service Award, and now we are grateful to God to be able to give him this distinguished award, which we have just established. This is the first year for it. And I am very, very excited about being a part of it because he helped save all of our children from not only jail, but prison. Even a lot of our children never did go into an area where I spent my career, and that is the prison system. My husband, Bishop Bernard, he was the first black business manager for the state of Michigan in corrections. So he worked directly with a lot of people that helped us to save some lives. I also worked for 17 years with the Department of Correction, and I did not want to see not one of our children to be incarcerated for any reason. But unfortunately, when I got here in Adrian, many of our kids were incarcerated. And it's not a good picture to see that end of the spectrum. But because of Larry Richardson Jr., he smiled on all of us by what he accomplished in this community. And I am so grateful for this vast number of people that are here tonight to see this award be given. And I'd just like to say that because of our committee, and I'd like our committee to come and stand in front of here, our committee, our Martin Luther King committee, come quickly, come on, quickly. I want you to know that we have established this as an award that we would like to give every single year. And with Larry Richardson being the first recipient, I'm so excited to be the one, me and Cherie, she's my best president, both of us reaching out to this community to give an award to a distinguished community leader, Larry Richardson, Lifetime Achievement Award. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much. You can take it with you and sit it down, but don't break it. All right? I gotta take some pictures of it because once it goes into their house, it's gonna be hard to get it back out of there. So I'm just so happy. But I also want you all to know that this is my team. We work really hard. Sometimes we get along, and sometimes they push me so that I can make me a better person. Thank you to this committee for what we've achieved this year. We've almost doubled our numbers in the participants, and all of our table donors. I'd just like to say thank you. If you donated to us, you made our load a lot lighter, but you also made it more powerful. And I am so grateful to you for allowing this to happen. And I've been wanting the alumnus to come back and to show what they've accomplished. And to our speaker, I'd like to say thank you to you for saying yes. We're going to give a certificate to each of our leaders here who have participated and worked this past year. Even if you work 1 month, you're going to get something. You're all the same, so we can just pass it out. I'd like to say thank you. Where's my microphone? I want you to say your name.
Tom Puszczewicz, Siena Heights University.
Deanne Annette Cavalier Hennigan with Bethlehem Church and the community. Eugenia Travis McLean from the community.
Julia Erickson from Siena Heights University.
Geraldine Boykin, past president of the MLK committee.
Evelyn Hackett Hall, community member.
Melinda Schwen, Dean of Students, Adrian College.
Tina May, Jackson College.
Thomas Stoney, Adrian College.
All right, let's give them another hand. They did a fantastic job. We had our students that worked with us this year. We'd like them to just stand up. Our student workers that worked really hard from Adrian, Jackson, and Siena Heights. Our MC from Siena Heights. Thank you so much. Our hosts and hostesses, where are you? You're the ones. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'd just like to say that my vice president, she's the techie person, Steve. This is my techie person. As you can tell, I put you to work as soon as you got here. And she's going to bring us into a new year eventually. If she can get me to move over to the side and let her do her thing. But I'd just like to give her a hand. She's a new mother, and even with that, she has done a fantastic job. Okay, Siena, y'all can do better than that. All right, Adrian. Thank you so much, and this is yours. And I appreciate you so much. Yes.
Very quickly, we just want to make sure that you all know that we will be hosting at Siena Heights next year for our centennial celebration. Our keynote speaker is actually Leonardo Pizzaglia, so you all got to see him tonight. And knowing that we're hosting at Siena next year, please make sure you get your tables early. Like she said, I am the tech person, so email me and we will get you on the list early. So MLK happens at the same time every year. Every year. And people want last minute tickets every year. So please make sure that you plan accordingly because MLK is on the same day every year.
All right, we are excited about being here. As you can tell, we do one event. We're sorry we're keeping you longer than we normally do, but we just like to say thank you to all of you. And don't forget, we will be talking to all those that gave tables this year. I just want you to know, ditto, ditto, ditto. So that means you have to do it next year as well. And if you haven't given a table, we're going to be after you. I told you I was going to do it, and we more than doubled our tables this year. So if we could get this whole room, they told me they can seat up to 600, right? If they can seat up to 600 people, that means that the food won't be over there. We'll have people over there. At Siena, we're going to do it up, okay, for the 100-year celebration. President Peg, are we going to do it? All right. We're ready to do it. We're ready to work. Thank you so much. And we're going to
All right, I would like to introduce a freshman at Siena Heights University attending Siena on a choir scholarship, y'all. She's from Indiana, Elkhart, Indiana. She's going to lead us in singing of the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. So it's in the program, we're only singing the first verse. So everyone please stand. So we'll welcome Christine Mathis.
benediction. And I don't see Pastor Good. So I'm going to ask our chaplain if he would just come back and dismiss us. Chaplain, Momini. He's coming, he's coming, he's coming. And while he's coming, I'd just like to say thank you again for your support and your participation and your love that you've shown. And especially to all of the leaders in the room. And we are all leaders.
May the Lord bless you and keep you, give you strength to serve the cause of justice and love. And may the Lord give you the inspiration that even in times of tiredness and doubt and despair, you may see the horizon of His new day. Amen.
Amen.